what do I do with all this spiritual stuff? What do I do with my empathic abilities, my psychic awarenesses? How do I work with them? And each guest that showed up really mirrored that energy back to the listeners, you. So I hope that throughout the season, you really got some insights for yourself in different ways. And maybe some things didn't resonate with you, but other things did. But I hope and I wonder if you also received and really felt that deepening of the energies of season two. Welcome back to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. I'm your host, Teresa. So, this is a special episode because this is the final episode of season two of Enthusiastically Spiritual. And I want to take a few moments and share about some of the energies of the season, the guests, and you listeners. So, believe it or not, season two had 77 episodes within it. There were 65 guests who came on, and it was listened to in over 95 different countries. So, wherever you're at in the world right now, just imagine there's 90 some plus other countries with people listening to the same episodes and the same podcast. That excites me so much. I can't even tell you how excited that is when I saw that. I'm like, wow, 95 other countries. So, in looking back and feeling into season two, there was a deepening of the energies. I don't know if you recognize or how long you've actually been listening to this podcast, but the first season, I pretty much did it myself because it was the beginning. I didn't have many people to interview. And then season two really turned more into a sharing of other people, their services, other guests that came on and provided unique perspectives. And it definitely got in deeper. There were some episodes about shadow work, episodes about really diving more deeper into the body, really exploring your soul and who you are. So, what I noticed in season two and mirroring, because I do believe that everything mirrors everything else. So, season two mirrored where I was at and some of the processes that I went through during this whole year, as well as the collective. So I noticed because I also go out with my husband Tom through TNT Spirit Works. We go out and we do fairs and expos around the Midwest. So during this time frame when season two was going on, I noticed that people were showing up at our booth to talk about some really deep insights into things they were feeling, things they were seeing, things they were experiencing spiritually, and didn't know what to do about it and really had no one else to talk to besides coming to these fairs where everyone's like-minded. So there's a lot of opportunity to really, ask questions and be heard and really explore what's going on spiritually with them. And that's what I feel what my guests did in season two is that they really showed up in that depth of what do I do with all this spiritual stuff? What do I do with my empathic abilities, my psychic awarenesses? How do I work with them? And each guest that showed up really mirrored that energy back to the listeners, you. So I hope that throughout the season, you really got some insights for yourself in different ways. And maybe some things didn't resonate with you, but other things did. But I hope and I wonder if you also received and really felt that deepening of the energies of season two. So, what I really want to do, really, first off, I want to share a little bit about the guests. So, believe it or not, the guests also came from different parts of the world. I had guests that shared from Europe, from Asia, from Australia, from Africa, from Canada, Mexico, and then, of course, a lot of people in the US. And I want to take a moment and really honor each and every guest that came on because not only did they share their time, they shared their energy with all of us and the services that they offered, but they really came together as a collective group in season two and shared beautifully with what their specialty was in the world. And for myself, there were many highlights of the season. And if I don't know when you might have started listening to this podcast, but if it was recently, you might have missed quite a few of these people. Or if you've listened to some of these episodes, you then might hear something different if you listen again or get some insights of what I'm going to share in a few minutes here. Because what I've done is I've actually broken down the episodes into mind, body, spirit. And I want to share some key ones that really stood out to me and stood out to you listeners by lots and lots of downloads. So, the first one I want to talk about is the mind. And in episode 29, I had an amazing guest on named Chiron Yang, who's from Asia. And he came on and he shared about something what he calls Life Quest, which is really a unique blend of work that he's created through his evolutionary astrology and Dr. Darren Weissman's work with the Lifeline technique. What I love about Chiron is that he has a healing journey himself. And through his healing journey, he has explored different ways that work for him and how he can work with other people. And also with the evolutionary astrology that he brings forth, it is a power pack way that he helps each and every client that he works with. So for myself, it was really understanding that no matter where we come from, there's a way to be helped and guided towards and forward with your healing journey. And that's what he really brought forth in that episode was how he healed himself and how he supports others through his beautiful life quest. Then in episode 32, I had a wonderful guest named Walter Zajac. And Walter is an amazing psychic from California who wrote a book called They Came Beyond Deja Vu. And if you listen to this story, he tells an amazing story about how he, when he was a young child in Germany, came and he had his spiritual guidance that helped him and really worked with him as spirit. And then later on in life, he met this spirit in real people. So it is a dynamic story about really trusting and believing in what you're seeing, hearing, picking up. And then also later on, whenever he came upon these people in real life, he had some things he had to work through and he actually came upon them and was able to express, hey, I knew you in spirit form. And it's a remarkable story about really the resilience that a soul it has in this lifetime through all the trials and the challenges that we have, and how he broke through that and how he's able to help people with spirit and with his psychic mediumship work through what they're going through and how to really trust and believe in the process that they individually have. So, if you did not listen to this episode, please check it out because Walter has just a dynamic, amazing story that he shares. Then in episode 51, I had another gentleman on named Stephen Tuig. And Stephen came on and he is all about shadow work. So this was actually one of the highest rated and highest watched and listened to episodes of the whole season. When Stephen came on, I was in a place, and so again, I find that these guests really kind of mirror also what I'm going through. So when Stephen came on, it was like I was like, game on. He does shadow work. We're going there. So in this episode, he takes me through a process of really going through some healing work and how he does it. And it was a challenge, but it was amazing. And like I said, at that moment, I was so ready to go there. So if you have missed this episode, it's one to check out because it's dynamic to really not only see how he works, but also the process of how he does shadow work because there's all kinds of different variations in the world of shadow work. And so the way he does it is really unique to him because, of course, he's a unique soul, but it's a really awesome episode to check out. So please make sure that if you missed that one, you do check it out because that was one of the highest watched and rated episodes of the season. Next, I'm going to tap into the body. There were some people that came on this year that talked about chakras, about energy. And the first one I want to talk about is Noah Hammond Terrell on episode 24. So, Noah is all about CBD oil and helping you heal and transform through working with CBD. And Noah has an amazing, courageous healing story that he talks about with his father, who has had a battle with cancer, and what they did to really help him actually live life and heal because he was actually on his deathbed. So, this episode just really took me to a different place because I love the fact that Noah is working with CBD, which is everyone's heard about it. Maybe a lot of people don't know about it, but he shares a lot in this episode in regards to how this plant medicine and healing modality can really help people. So this is one that's really amazing to understand and to really dive into the healing powers around CBD. Then on episode 28, I shared Dr. Elsbeth Muth and Freddie Zental Weaver from the Tantra Nova Institute. So this one was so unique because they talked a lot about healing energies, working with your body as well as then working outside your body with other people in relationships. So they are all about Tantra. And if I don't know, like in the past, I've had some things like, what is Tantra? What's that all about? And there's people doing interesting things with Tantra, but they are really of service. They're there to help people and to really support people in understanding more about how to work with our energy. And then not only that, but expanding it out to the body. So this episode really was a fun journey that we took together. And if you missed it, please make sure you go back and listen and check it out because it's a dynamic episode. Then on episode 58, I had Leah Robel on, and she was all about powerful yoga series and pelvic floor health for, believe it or not, women and men. So Leah is a beautiful soul who's again on a mission like all the other beautiful guests I've had on, but she really is in tune with how to move with the body and how to really support the pelvic floor health and build up that the muscular area as well as energetically and bringing those in balance together to help support where you're at with that. I know there, and she shares in her book, there are men and women who are challenged in this area. And so being able to strengthen and really move forward in healing some of the trauma many of us have in that area. It's amazing. So Leah is that's another episode that if you missed it on episode 58, please, please, please go back and listen because it has some really great wisdom and she's a beautiful soul. Then next I want to talk about spirit. So we had a lot of people on this season talking about spirituality and being a soul in a physical body and how to work with different aspects of spirit. But some of my favorites are there was episode 31 with Gabriella Garbox from Australia. So Gabriella is all about sound healing and working with galactic energies and bringing those forth in sound. So that might be a whole bunch. That's a big mouth word, a full mouth right there, wasn't it? But I love, love, love sound healing. And I've been doing it for years in the sense of going and attending sound journeys. Actually, when I was in Tallahassee and I used to do massage therapy and healing work, I was even involved in a group where we came together and did healing together through using different instruments and sounds. So it was so profound. So when I found Gabriella, it was so amazing because the galactic energies that she brings in, they feel new. They feel they're at a different level than just regular instruments. Not to say instruments are bad because instruments are amazing too, but it's definitely a different vibration because she not only channels like it's not just one galactic energy, it's a lot of different galactic energies. And so I found that this episode really it went right to my soul, especially with my love of sound healing. And she also shares about her journey and how she found this beautiful and really unfoldment into being a channel and working with this energy. So if this is something that you've not listened to, please make sure you go back and do because she also in this episode gives as a short sound an example and a short sound journey through it. So it's a really great way to get a little kind of like a preview of what you can do and work with Gabriella because she has monthly sessions that she works with every single month around the world. Then episode 62, I had on a gentleman named Richard Lassiter. So Richard came on at a beautiful time because this episode was all about spiritual freedom. And if you missed it and you aren't feeling too free right now in your life, go back and listen to this because Richard is a practical man moving forth in the world through his spiritual life and helping support others and understanding how to make the mundane practical, really to work with the practical gifts we have in our life with our intuition, with our spiritual helpers, and when you work with this and really trust and believe in that insights, intuition, hunches, then you can feel that spiritual freedom and you can feel free no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on around you. It's really, it's an inspiring episode, not only because of the fact that I absolutely love spiritual freedom and love working with my team of inner guidance and working with my psychic perceptions and intuition, but also knowing that there are people, especially men out in the world showing up and being of support and it's really it's it makes me feel so good inside, especially because as you guys know, I have Tom in my life who is also a spiritual man who's very down to earth, who's very practical. So when other gentlemen come on as guests, it means so much to me to be able to share that they're out in the world also doing and showing up and supporting all of us out there in the ways that they are. And so this episode with Richard is such a powerful one on spiritual freedom. Then one of my also favorite episodes this season was episode 60 with Rob Koenig from The Reconnection. So this episode really was one of my absolute favorites because of the fact that when I was doing healing work, I actually took all the training of the reconnection, and I love reconnective healing. So what I loved about Rob is he showed up as a guest at the perfect time when I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about reconnective healing honestly in years. I don't remember how long it's been, but it's been quite a while that I took the training, maybe 10 plus years ago. So for him to show up and for me to feel that power behind reconnective healing energies, it just reawakened, I don't know, just like it remotivated me and how much I loved reconnective healing. So when Rob came on, not only did he bring forth reconnective healing, but he has his energy, which he's dynamic. I mean, I'll tell you what, as a spiritual leader, and also here's another man showing up, he was and is a dynamic soul. So, and so passionate about helping people really step into and understand the potential that they could have as a soul. And working with reconnective energy and the reconnective healing is one aspect that Rob is passionate about because he himself had such a transformation through working with the energies. But he was a joy, and episode 60 is also one of the highest rated and highest watched and viewed episodes. So please make sure if you missed it, you go back and check it out. And also in this episode, Rob does do a technique, and I swear you might be able to feel the energy through the podcast or through the YouTube if you watch it on YouTube. It's amazing. So season 2 was amazing. These 9 episodes that I showed today really was only a piece of the wisdom, the insights, and the enthusiastic energy that was brought forth through all 77 episodes. So, no matter where you're at in the world and you listened, I really want to thank you from my heart. I also want to thank those that left comments about how much you enjoyed the podcast. And a few of them just from recently were Michael Zapata, 21. He wrote, "The best, my go to daily motivation." Kenneth Morgan, 67, wrote, "Life changes. I've been a good person since listening to your podcast almost every day." Richard Squadra, 45. I hope I didn't mess up your name, but Richard Squadra, 45. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing for us. Alonzo Anderson, 56. I love this podcast. I listen to it every day. And there's many, many more people. And so I thank you so much for leaving all the beautiful comments. And if you'd like to hear your name called out or you have a question for me, please go to podinbox.com/enthusiastically spiritual. And the link will also be in the show notes. And you can leave me a message. You can ask me a question. You can also get a shout out of your name if you'd like that on an upcoming episode. So now what's next? Well, season 3 is next. And I'll tell you, 3 is a special number for me because a lot of cool things come in threes. The birth, life, death cycle, the mind, body, spirit, soul cycle, the 3 acts of a typical story. There's lots and lots of threes, and I love 3. 3 to me is also spirit. So in season 3, there's going to be a lot more mindful and creative aspects to the episodes. I'm looking forward to sharing each one with you beginning in March of 2023. So I hope that you enjoyed this reflective episode. Please make sure if you have not subscribed that you do. And if you're interested in leaving a comment for me, please do. Also, please share it with your friends and family. And if you want to watch any episode, you can find them on TNT Spiritworks YouTube channel. So until next season, which is only next week, remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.